Sometimes you feel like a sometimes. Oh, hello there. Hey guys, what's going on? So while again perusing this internet of stuff and things, and after listening back to some of Professor Sean Carroll's not lectures, but video series, which he would often use the word lecture, but he's allowed to be a bit more free because it wasn't a fictional lecture. But all I'm saying between that and all that I've learned from Professor Keating, a Fermilab video popped up about something completely different, Newton, Einstein equations, yada, yada, yada. But essentially, it recommended me a video on the CMB. And I found this interesting. Shall we? Oh, we shall.
Now we're getting to where the mystery arises. By all rights, the axes of all these functions should be oriented randomly, pointing in any old direction.
They were going
there should
over
be no
like
preferred
CMB
direction.
and like what's going on.
However, when we look at the
homogeneous, more or
axis for both the quadrupole and octupole,
Oh.
they seem to be more or less in the same direction. Even weirder, they seem to be aligned with the axis of the solar system, which is perpendicular to the plane in which the planets orbit.
That's very interesting. Go on a little bit more.
On top of that, the dipole is oriented about 90 degrees from the other two, more or less in the same plane as the solar system.
Huh.
And the solar system seems to be moving basically sideways through the rest of the cosmos, like an oversized frisbee. Now, this makes absolutely no sense at all.
Thank you. That's all we really need for that. The links in the doobly-doo. Totally, I highly recommend it if you're into this type of stuff. Just thinking about this is fascinating. Why do I say this is fascinating? Because as it has been purported before in one of the other videos that I did, basically the CMB, what I like to compare it to is if, hypothetically, we lived in a cyclic universe, as apparently, at least in the first edition of 44, it appears to be it, and again, if the hyperbolic figure 8 knot, basically, if that articulation is the fundamental wave action of persistent, it basically gives rise to its complement. So it was kind of like when I did the whole like orange is basically we're living in kind of the peel of like the Great Sphere. Again, it's about 10 to the 32 meters. Our observable universe is 10 to the 26. That's a lot bigger. But now we go over to what might a quote-unquote Big Bang, or some may say eternal inflation, because Professor Carroll did mention that. What might that look like? Might it look like Sir Roger Penrose's cyclic conformal cyclic cosmology? At one point, he did mention, apparently, if you found the right geometry, it kind of lines up, because he's kind of going through like almost like a Tootsie Roll type of thing there. But we go back to anime for some stuff that's going on. What might it look like if all of a sudden you had an excreting from a point, Cosmos himself? Here's the battle with the 10 tails. There's a barrier put up.
Break the barrier.
Uh-oh.
Fellow.
Uh-oh. It's big. It's big. Kaboom. All right, that's all we need from that. But the whole point is, imagine if you had a vortex per se. And if the cosmos as we know it ends up going to part of that vortex, it goes into an articulation where there's a bunch of stuff going on. I believe some may have referred to it as the Janus point. As Professor Wolfram said, I think a lot of us are kind of talking about the same thing. We just use some different words and stuff, and then we just focus on really one thing. And again, we're computationally limited beings. But if we work together, is the sum greater than the parts? I tend to think we can do great things when we come together. But now, what does any of this stuff actually have to do? All right, he just showed me some anime. He just showed me a question that ended with, this makes no sense. Let's make an attempt to make sense of it. All right, we go to our friend 3 Blue plus 1 Brown. Excellent mathematics channel, in my opinion. He's going over turbulence stuff and things and vortices.
Turbulence, on the other hand, is characterized by kinetic energy at a whole spectrum of length scales, from the movement of large eddies to smaller ones and smaller ones and smaller ones still. Moreover, this energy tends to cascade down the spectrum, where what I mean by that is that the energy of large eddies gets converted into that of smaller eddies. which in turn bring about smaller eddies still.
Now again, we're going to need a lot of observational evidence in order to confirm any of this. But I'm just saying that if you had a model where basically you had something being excreted from a point, wherever it is, however you want to orient it, and it's coming out, and maybe there's some rotation going on there. If you had a fluid were to spread out, and it started off as something large, then broke into something smaller, and broke into something smaller. And again, I have not done the hard work. A lot of humanity has done that for me. Thank you. But I'm just saying that if you had some of this break off, might it, I don't know, made a larger eddy be something that ends up swirling together kind of like a galaxy, and then it breaks off, and I don't know, maybe get some star systems. Maybe a little bit of that breaks off, and maybe get some planets, and maybe some moons, and then some other stuff. I'm just saying, I think it would be pretty cool. But continue. This is a great rhyme.
This goes on until it's small enough that the energy dissipates directly to heat in the fluid, which is to say molecular scale jiggling, due to the fluid's viscosity, which is to say how much the particles tug at each other. Or, as this was all phrased in a poem by Lewis F. Richardson, big whirls have little whirls which feed on their velocity, and little whirls have lesser whirls, and so on to viscosity. Now you might wonder...
That's beautiful. And again, links in the doobly-doo. This is a fascinating video. I'm not even sure if I actually listened to it. I fell asleep to a bunch of times, but I digress. Again, I should have done this myself, but thankfully, we have YouTube here. What is this? I put this on 2x speed because I believe it was slowed down. We got some food coloring. Yeah, it's a little vortex. What's going on here? Oh, look at that. It's spreading out. Form that into a great hypersphere. What if it was excreting? What if it's kind of only really going one way? Actually, I don't even know. This is the beautiful thing. Actually, no, if we were in the separate fluid plane, we would be separated from the interior. But again, gonna need a lot of observational evidence for all this different stuff and things, but just putting that out there into the digital ether, if you would, because we can. So that's all I got for now. Hopefully somebody might find that fun or interesting. It's okay. I know there's a lot of other things going on, but hey, peace out, everybody. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. You never know what tomorrow's gonna bring.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.